All right. I'm Johnny Cassell, and first of all, I want to thank Killing Kittens and Library for helping us put this event on. I think you'd agree it's a fantastic turnout. I would hope that you get a lot of nuggets out of tonight. I've had a bit of a sieve through to see what you want to get out of. The two keywords seem to be, I don't know. I'm just here with an open mind and I'm curious. So, good marketing. So, normally I start with my sort of story to kind of show you my journey in terms of where I've come from and what I've been doing for over a decade of my life. So I'll share that with you first, and then we'll kind of go into what I want to, like my format for this evening, okay? So my journey comes from an actual pain and a frustration for actually being really poor with being able to communicate to the people that I actually wanted to communicate with. This isn't necessarily just about the fairer sex. This is just about on a social basis as well. I'm talking friendship, okay? I was very frustrated as a youngster with people being able to make friends so effortlessly and easily on the playground. And any sort of women that I was getting responses from weren't particularly sort of, well, girls at that age, the sort of girls that I wanted in my life. I felt that I was just being chosen as opposed to having the ability and confidence to go and speak to the sort of people that I want to speak to. This frustration went on all the way up to my college years. So I went to an all-boys school. I had no sort of positive reference points. I remember like my earliest reference was being bullied by girls and coming home with bruising all over my legs. So I was a Me Too, right? I was physically abused. And then I think the second earliest reference point I have was being late for a maths class, and the consequence of being late for that class was I had to go and sit on a table full of girls. And because my emotions wasn't really developed at that stage, I was just easy to bully. I was easy to be picked on, and those sort of references like stayed with me for a very long time. I studied motorsport engineering. I think that's quite an integral part of what I do today. I didn't go into that field, but what I feel I did take with me is the engineering side of things. So as I was just explaining to a friend here earlier on, when you're working in that field, you understand that if you take something apart and you put something back and it doesn't quite fit right, there's a reason as to why that thing doesn't fit right. So I'm just applying that mindset into the social sciences. And we've been doing that for 13 years now. I have a great team. Dale over here is our stylist on the team. He helps transform men and women into beautiful beings. And Dan is one of our confidence specialists as well. Okay, we've traveled the world doing what we do. And what we've learned is that this stuff is universal, okay? It's universal because we're all emotional beings. And we all have emotions, right? And we're all looking for that sort of connection. Someone that has the emotional intelligence and vocabulary to be able to connect with us on that level. Does that make sense, guys? Cool. God, this light is making me sweat so much. Right. So who is here for what? I just want a show of hands. Are we here to gain confidence in approaching men? Raise your hands. One person. Come on. There's fucking, what else are you here for then?
Relationships, but is here to just be, to see, hear something interesting, have a different take on social situations and learn.
Okay. Any advancements on that? Who's here to meet women with their confidence treat women? Okay, 2, 3, okay. Who here is in a relationship but would like to acquire a third? Okay, cool. I like that dynamic. It's a bit spicy, you know?
How many hands did you have? You didn't say.
5. 5. So it's an odd number, but yeah. Okay. I always start my talks off and our coaching with the mindset. I believe if you haven't got the mindset in the right place, there's no point in learning the juicier stuff. okay? Because you can have all the magic things to say and all the phrases and woo someone off their feet when you meet. But if your mindset isn't in the right place, that's going to show later on down the line, okay? So I want to take you right to the start, and I want to share with you a few concepts that I've kind of learned over time about the mindset and the right sort of mindset to have. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you guys, and I really want you guys to think about this, and this was something that I posted on my Facebook some time ago now, and it was, what's the thing that's stopping you from getting the thing? Right? Just very basic. You can apply it for absolutely anything. Just think about it. What is the thing that's stopping you from getting the thing? Can someone tell me what that thing is? What's the thing?
It's a mind game, so it's mind you're stopping you, I guess.
Right. But what's the narrative in your mind?
It depends on the occasion where you are.
Okay, but let's unpack it a little bit more. Right? So give me a situation, give me an occasion. Maybe, so you put your hand up, you want to meet a woman, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So when you see yourself in a situation where there is an attractive woman, what's the narrative that kicks in?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Okay. As you start exploring the space of failure, how does that look like? What imagery do you start creating in your mind? I'm trying to look at who said that. I haven't got a clue who said that. Just someone. Right, okay, yeah. What does failure look like?
That's rejection. It's, if you are rejected, it's not a nice thing.
Okay. What does rejection look like?
Somebody else might be able to answer that one.
Well, you're. Very good. Very good. Just deflect that one over there. Just head it off in that direction. I really had a breakthrough when I was working with a client, and I just found myself asking him, what does rejection look like? And he goes, well, I go over there, and she doesn't like me, right? Which is nonsense, right? How can someone know anything about you in that split second or minute, right? Rejection normally comes from the fact that you're going over to someone and hoping that you'll be approved, right? So it's all a matter of perspective. For people that experience rejection, people who experience rejection are people that don't actually know what they want, right? So the first exercise we must do is understand what we want from an individual. What are the qualities that someone has to possess? Therefore, what we find ourselves doing is not going over there and hoping that we'll be accepted into this person's world, but we'll go over there or have a drink with that someone at the bar or whatever the scenario be, and we'll see if our values are in line with each other. Does that make sense? And that's why every time I hear rejection, I'm so happy to kind of share that kind of change of perspective, because I really do think that is a game changer, right? It changes your behavior, your mindset, your attitude. If you're left with that mindset that we just talked about, you come across needing. And everyone can smell neediness. And it's one hell of a smell, right? Yes.
But there can be another side, if like you're not afraid of failure, that leads to recklessness, to brazen behavior.
Is that what you told me earlier? That was your nickname?
Yes.
Okay. It all depends. Like I said, like when you possess a certain skill, you have, like I said to you earlier, you have a certain responsibility. Yeah? You have to understand the power of that skill, which we'll get to in a minute. But I just think that rejection is just a matter of perspective. We need to just remove this negative connotation, and the same with the word. How else would you explain? What other word comes to mind when you go over to someone and they don't you're not approved by them? What other word comes to mind?
Group.
Sorry?
Group.
A group, for example.
Whilst we are all individuals and
Yes.
we all have individual things going on, we are also social animals.
Yes.
And we belong in a pack, or indeed several different packs
Right.
on where we are. So there is an inherent wish to be part of a particular group or pack or clique or whatever it might be.
I think there is that element, and there's definitely an unconscious element that exists in us all. But
That's the approval part. I want to be approved by this group or whatever it is.
right, so why don't you take the mindset I'm talking about into the next scenario you might find yourself in, where you see a group that you may want to be a part of, but you're not too sure yet. That's why you're going over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're not just going, oh, they look cool, I want to be with them, I want them to be my friends. You don't know anything about them yet. You don't know how they add value to you whatsoever. But we're just blowing up this dialogue in our head. And of course you're not going to be accepted because you're not coming with value. Does it make sense? I think the skydive is an amazing analogy, a really amazing analogy. I remember I did a 2-day course doing a skydive. And the first day was just messing around. I think we were a bit hungover from the night before, and no one was really taking it seriously. It should have been, absolutely should have been. We're in the harnesses and we're practicing how to open the chutes. And the next day we're climbing the skies in this rickety old plane, and you know, everyone's ego is shelved. Everyone's looking around each other, all pale-faced. You've got the ex-RAF boys sitting there, all confident, and they're just jumping out and like, fucking hell, fucking hell. In my head, I'm just creating a dialogue of, what have I got to do to get out of this? What have I got to do to get out of this? And I stopped myself, and I thought, Johnny, you teach this stuff, right? You've got to reframe it. You reframe the thing. So I started telling myself, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be awesome. And then since I was running that dialogue, that helped me get into the door and push myself out. And that was the unknown. I didn't know what was going to happen as I jumped out of that door and pushed myself out. But let me tell you, it was a phenomenal experience. Every time you embrace the unknown, mostly something beautiful happens. You grow. So just take that lesson and just adopt that mindset. If someone doesn't take to you instantly, that's okay. It's not about getting someone's phone number or getting a kiss or getting, sleeping with someone. It's about beating yourself, right? I'm astounded by when it comes to asking women what they want in a man, right? The response, and I really, this is a good experiment because we've got men and women in the audience. This is great. So when it comes to asking women, what do you want in a man? Most women go, confidence. I like a man that's confident. Guys, who knows what confidence means? What is that?
Like you take control over your own destiny?
Well, okay, if that's what it means to you. But I just can't quite make sense of it. I just feel it's so vague, right? What I feel that we want from each other is we want someone that feels like they're coming from a place of certainty. How do we get to certainty? We make choices on going back to our positive reference points. I had a friend that was in the Olympics, right? He was competing for the Olympics, and his sport was kayaking. And I've known him my whole life, went to school with him and everything. And I said, Andy, tell me something. Tell me, you have a sports psychologist? He goes, yeah, I do have a sports psychologist. I go, tell me, what do they teach you in your camp? You go, okay, it was a really interesting concept. And there's a book, if you want further reading on this, there's a book called The Chimp Paradox. And it's by Steve Peters, who went on to work with a lot of gold medalists. And they're taught this idea of there's two sides of the brain. You've got your rational thinking, and you've got your rational thinking, your logic, right? So he calls one side the chimp, and then one side the human. And he goes, the game is you've got to cage your chimp. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And what is this riddle nonsense? He goes, Johnny, you've known me my whole life. Would you believe when I'm on that start line, and I'm trying to focus on winning, there's this voice in my head, and it tells me all the reasons why I can't do this. It tells me I haven't trained hard enough. It tells me I haven't been out on the water enough. It tells me I'm not good enough. It tells me I haven't been working out. All of these reasons why he can't, right? And I go, all right, that started to resonate with me because I thought it was just me. I thought I might have been a bit schizophrenic, but no, that was comforting. So, okay. And I go, well, so what are you taught? And he goes, we're taught to have A-grade responses. I'm like, okay, so what's that? He goes, when I hear that voice, I start to envision my wins. I start to envision my trophy cabinet at home, right? The symbols of success. I start to envision myself at the Nationals holding up the trophy this year. I remind myself of how long I've been doing this for. And in that moment, when I'm on that start line, my mind swings back around and just focus on what matters, and it just allows me to get through the race and do my best I could possibly do. And that really resonated with me. It really resonated with me because when I was younger, I may not look like it now, but I used to be a boxer, okay? I had a couple of fights. I won one and I lost one, and it was an education. And in that sport, if you're in any combat sport, it's very hard to get a match. And when a match comes in, you've got to be ready. So you've got to idle your fitness. And it got to a point where I went to the gym, my trainer just called out, Johnny, we've got a fight for you in a week. You're ready, right? And I'm like, and this was after I'd won one already. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready, man, I'm ready. But in that moment, I'm thinking, have I been sparring enough? Have I been out in that street running? Have I been hitting the bag enough, right? Now, consequently, because I fell into that pattern of thought, that was the fight I lost. Did I lose that in the ring or outside the ring? Outside, right? And it's because I wasn't managing my mind properly. Who's had an experience, ladies, have you had an experience where you've seen a guy or a girl look over at you, they're interested, right? And you can tell they're interested because it's been going on for about an hour and a half, right? The guys took no action whatsoever, right?
It's a long time.
It's
Too long.
he's there, he's talking to his buddy, he's nudging him going, yeah, that one there. He's like, yeah, that one there, that one there. And he's like, oh, you going to do it? Yeah, am I going to do it? Of course I'm going to do it, yeah, just going to go to the loo. All right, cool, see you in your back. Goes to the loo, comes back. All right, mate, you're going to do it then? Yeah. Do you want a drink? Yeah, I wouldn't mind a drink. All right, do off this drink then. All right, yeah, you're going to do it now? Yeah, after this fag. You don't even smoke. Do now, you know. She's seen all this, right? She's seen all this. You take one step forward and then some guy comes in that hasn't even thought a second more and just done it. He swept it off her feet, made impact because he's the guy that showed up from a place of certainty as opposed to the doubtful wanderer just stamping on his feet every 2 minutes. Who's experienced that? I fucking experienced. I've been that guy. Yeah, I think we've all experienced that, been on the receiving end or been that sort of person. Even when it comes to a woman showing your interest to a man, it's pretty funny. Because I remember we had this talk, and it was a KK talk, and we had a room full of women. And I was asking the women, what signals do you give to a man to show, or a woman, to show that you're interested? Right? And there was various different characters in the room, right? Different levels of confidence in the room. So there was one lady and she goes, well, and we use the scenario as the tube, for example, okay? So I look at the guy and I just sort of look at him. I go, okay, all right. But for a lot of us guys out there, she's just looking at us. Yeah, we don't get it. We don't get it. And she might just be looking at us, right? But what we won't find out if she is just looking at us, if we don't say something, right? But then there was another one in the room, and she goes, oh, well, I look at him, and I just sort of look away, right? Like that. I go, oh, right, okay, so what does he think then? He goes, well, I looked at him. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, you know? Like, if the guy doesn't get it, if you're looking at him in the first place, he doesn't get it. He doesn't think that, oh, I just caught her, you know? So it needs a bit more. Then we had the more confident lady in the room, and she goes, well, I look, and I just sort of give a smile. I was like, okay, right. Well, that's definitely on, right? So there's definitely, you know, us men and women, we have different levels of intuition. Right? But us men are pretty shit, to be honest. So we've got to work on that. You do have to, there you go, right? You've got to be very obvious. So it's just something to factor in. Got on a bit of a tangent now. Why did I get to that? Because I'm just moving around with the concept of the mindset, of hesitance and certainty. And if you're coming from a place of doubt, that's not attractive, right? So we need to work on building positive reference points up. What are positive reference points? There are times where you did doubt yourself and you counted a win, right? How do I count a win? Well, it might just be having a positive conversation with someone that you never thought you'd be able to have a conversation with. The guy that mentioned the tribe at the back. sat back and thought, am I going to be selected by that tribe over there? But he found himself going over there and just having a bit of light conversation, and they enjoyed his company. That's a win. Yeah? You've got to understand where you are in terms of your social confidence to build up to developing attraction and build up to seducing, right? But let's start at the base. Let's build up our social confidence, because we're all social animals, right? And we've got to exercise that muscle. If you're not using that muscle, it's not going to be there when you need it, right? So start being more social. I had an hilarious conversation with a lady who was, and it's a true story, she was 70, she is 70, and she's had one man in her life and she's still a virgin, right? This is an extreme case. And I sat down with her and was talking about her lifestyle choices. We'll get onto that in a minute, right? Everything is a choice, and I want you to really take that word. If you want to write any word down today, write the word choose, yeah? I said, how do you spend your time? She goes, oh, well, I go shopping with my friends, I go on holiday with my sisters, and I work out. I go, oh, great, that's good, that sounds good. So you're being active and you're putting yourself out there, and you're able to meet people in that sort of environment. She goes, oh no, well, he's a Skype coach. I go, right, okay. Well, you know, show me how you spend your time and I'll show you the sort of people you're going to meet. You know, you need to, it's not to change your character to be, well, I'm not the extrovert, so I can't do those extroverted things. You know, just getting out of the house is just, it's not an extrovert thing, it's just getting out the house. Yeah? Where you spend your time governs who you're going to meet. If you're not getting out of the house, you're not going to meet anyone. Okay? Now, I'm very passionate about language. I'm very passionate about how language can really help with our inner dialogue and our outer dialogue. I think language is the most seductive thing out there, right? Combined with other things, right? Now, hypnosis. When I mention the word hypnosis, what do you think of that word? What kind of springs to mind?
Tapping into your subconscious.
Okay, yes, I like that response. Anything else on that? Hypnosis. Manipulation. Okay.
Bullshit.
Mind control. Bullshit. Okay. Okay. Any more?
Loss of control.
Loss of control. Okay. Okay. For me, when someone says hypnosis, my old self used to think it's a load of nonsense, right? It's just someone coming up on stage and making you cluck like a chicken. Sure, that's hypnosis, but it's great showmanship more than anything, right? Hypnosis, to simplify, and be aware it's all around us, yeah? And all the people we look up to use this. The media uses this. It's everywhere. It's simply the ability to change someone's state, right? So right now I'm talking really quickly. There's a certain state that exists, right? I'm talking very fast. It seems quite exciting, maybe a bit nervous. I don't know, but I'm talking very quickly, and there's a lot to kind of take in, but a very conscious amount of time I have, so I'm just kind of talking really quick. That's one state, yeah? But if I slow things down, and I talk like this, it's almost like anything I say sounds important, right? That's hypnosis. It's just a change of state. But then you start lacing it with other things. You start lacing it in with eye contact. I could hold eye contact with you right now. I can slow down what I'm doing. So I should do it to a guy. He's got a big smile on his face. He's ready for it. But seriously, if I hold eye contact, right, and I start slowing things down, it gives you a whole new, different experience, right? And then I might choose to throw some other words in there as I sit here and I look at you and I wonder what you're feeling deep inside, yeah? I just want to get inside you and just unpack all of the layers, remove all of the layers, and stimulate you in a way that could be fun for both of us, you know? So it all depends. Do you say you had a brother or a sister? And that's the fun stuff you can do, you know, when you understand hypnosis. It should be an experience. Sure, in the wrong hands, you can do really bad things. But like I said to you yourself, that comes with responsibility, right? As I say, people use this in advertising. People use this, like all of the politicians, world leaders, they build campaigns on this kind of stuff, right? So just have fun with it, yeah? So first thing I want you to take from using elements of hypnosis is eye contact, right? When you speak to someone, how many of you in the room, just show of hands, hold eye contact with the person they're speaking to? Yeah? Who thinks it's rude? Well, it depends, again.
It's rude if you don't.
Well, I believe so as well. But I also think what I want to get across is you have to wire it with the correct mindset, right? I would like to bring someone up here. I'm going to bring you up here. You seem to be, yeah, you. Come on. Give him a round of applause for coming up. All right. That's it. This is a KK event. Right. So what I just said there, it's about wiring it with a certain mindset, right? And you can give an individual a completely different experience. With the same people, the set hasn't changed, nothing, right? So I'm going to look at you in one way, look at you in two ways, and the first way, you're going to tell me how you feel, right? Let me just kind of get my mind into it. Okay.
Threatening? Like, you want to be threatening.
Okay, right. So it's an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, I was saying.
Okay. All right, I'll look at you in a different way. You tell me how you feel.
Gay man trying to approach me.
Love it. How's that? All right, cool. Cheers, thank you. I love doing that. Okay, so that is a fun thing to do, but it's just an extreme example of the thoughts that we choose to carry around with ourselves, right? Everything can affect our day, right? We might have a bad day at work. We might have an argument with a relative on the phone, or it might be something happening in your family. It's really affecting your state and your mood. Remember that word I said earlier? What was it I wanted you to take home with you? Choice, choose, yeah? I want you to take that home because it gives you responsibility and control of what's happening up here, yeah? When I speak to people, I get in trouble a lot of the time. Even my colleagues pull me on this. I'm in a lot of trouble with my girlfriend at the moment for just the way that I am, right? And I need to reverse condition myself, right, to get out of this. But the mindset you need to have, like the first mindset I had when I looked at you was, you're an effing C-U-N-T, right? And I was just recycling that dialogue in my head, looking at you, right? And therefore, you felt unpleasant. The second time I looked at you, well, I can't repeat what was going on in my mind, right? No, all right. Well, they've got rooms here, you know? It's a hotel as well, that's what I'm saying. But jokes aside, what I'm trying to make a point of is, again, it's that choose, yeah? You choose what's happening up here. Be more conscious of the dialogue you're running upstairs, yeah? Back to that scenario that mock-up scenario when I said about when you approach someone, you're hesitant, when maybe at the bar or the library or the work, wherever you are, what's in your mind? Is your mind set, oh, they're not going to accept me, oh, I'm not her type, I'm not his type, oh, no, not in a million years, oh, yeah. That's what she's experiencing or he's experiencing, right? But if you're going over there with the mindset of, I'm here to have fun, right? I'm here to play, right? Not everyone is out there to play. Not everyone will be playful, and that's okay. But at least put your mindset into that space, yeah? Give someone a playful experience. The dialogue I run is, it's on, right? And that's what you need to have in your head. From that can come a lot of fun, yeah?
So is this actually more perception, or is it choice?
It's choice. You're choosing that mindset, right? Yeah.
The reason I question that is because if you're going into a scenario, you want to almost envision how you might be perceived or how you're perceiving yourself. and then that in turn will resonate with how you are potentially perceived?
I think you first of all, the first step to getting growth in, this is self-development, right? Is awareness. Yeah, you need to be aware of the thing that you want to get good at, the area that you want to develop confidence in, right? And then once you're aware, you go out and you do, and then it becomes just unconscious. I don't think when I'm talking to people about, oh, I need to think like, it's just a habit now. Yeah? So does that answer your question?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
You say you make a choice to change your perception.
Well, right there when I did that demonstration, I certainly made a choice, right? Because I've got awareness, right? What I'm trying to say is a lot of us are not aware of how to manage our mind. We let external influences and people influence us in a certain way, but yet we don't have the ability to do it for ourselves. Like get into the right state, the right mood. Does that make sense? Some people find music guides them into a certain direction. Some people, I stopped listening to the radio when I was younger because I felt that the radio, the choice of the music the DJ was playing was putting me in a bad mood. Does it make sense? I stopped reading the Daily Mail years ago for that same reason. Because those headlines are designed for me to be angry, pick up the paper, so they can go to their commercial partners and go, hey, look how many people picked up this paper, that's why we can warrant this on the ad spend. Do you see? And that's a whole nother talk, but yeah. So yeah, just think, like if someone is looking at you, just think by default, it's on. It's on, right? Get into playful mode. And if it's not, pretty soon you're gonna find out. You know, but just have that mindset anywhere, because you're never going to create any new dialogue. Yeah? Okay, so we've talked about the bar scenario. I want to kind of think of some other scenarios. Perhaps, what could we do? Maybe at a coffee shop. I think we're in a beautiful climate right now where a lot of us have the joy of being able to work remotely, yet and we're still complaining that we're single, and because we're still working at home, right? So, again, like I said earlier, it's show me how you're spending your time, and I'll show you who you're going to meet, right? So again, it's about choices. Where are you spending your time? In the workshop we're doing at the end of the month, where's Liana? Is she still in the room? What is the date on that again? I can't remember. The 26th. We're going to go into a lot more detail in terms of finding out what qualities that you want from someone, like building that archetype up, and then where to find these sort of people, right? But just to give you a little teaser, for example, the coffee shop, for example, Joe and the Juice. I was in Joe and the Juice a few months back, and a lady hit on me in the most extraordinary way from Saudi Arabia, by the way. Yeah, I was like, wow, you've been through some self-development. Yeah.
It's awful because Joe and the Juice is always full of blokes.
The servers, but actually it's quite a hot spot for ladies. The one on Regent Street is.
Well, not the one on Monument.
Oh, okay. Right,
Never,
it's in the city, yeah.
never any women.
Really?
Never.
Okay, well, guys, Regent Street is the place. So I was in there, I just popped in, and I was getting the juice, and I just sat in there waiting, and this Middle Eastern lady, she turned around, and she goes, she looked at me in a playful way, quite similar sort of thing what I've been sharing with you already, and she goes, do you know the Wi-Fi code? I looked at her, I go, I knew what was going on, you know, like, of course I know the Wi-Fi. So you just play along a little bit and then, you know, but good for her, right? So I like to use examples like that to give the females in the room the confidence to actually make more moves on guys, right? I was watching, anyone familiar with Matthew Hussey? I really like his stuff. And I caught a clip of his recently, and he was saying that, you may have seen the same video where he says, don't be afraid of approaching the shy guy, because he's probably the good guy out of the bunch, right? So guys, just want to ask you this, just for the ladies. How would you take it if a lady approached you?
It's on.
It's on. It couldn't be any more on than that, right? Right, but it's a great feeling, right? It'd be a good experience. Yeah? I think, come on, it's 2019. Like, it's okay. Let's, we can welcome it, right? So, this didn't lead to anything with this lady because I was in a relationship, but I just found it quite amusing and I thought good for her, and I encouraged her to keep on doing that, because it was such a bold move and such a display of certainty and confidence and playfulness, very attractive character traits, right? So there might be something in the environment that actually can give you clues as to how to create a conversation with this person. Right? In that instance, it was the Wi-Fi. All right, you can use that in any coffee shop or Joe and the Juice you go to. I've done one before where I was sat there and I had my Mac on me and my charger was in my bag. Yeah, I know it was there. Yeah, but I leant over and I was like, "You happen to have a charger for the laptop, do you?" Right? And it was just a little playful thing. She knew what was going on. She knew what was going on, but then that allowed us to start a bit of dialogue. I had another one where, again, I was in a coffee shop and I saw a lady and I was like, well, I really need to talk to this person because she's quite striking. And I was just stifled. I was like, what do I say? I thought, okay, I've got it. Do you mind looking after my computer for a second? I'm just going to go get some coffee. She was sure. I go, oh, thank you. Do you want anything? Yeah, I have a tea. Went up, got her a coffee, got her a tea. She sat on my table now. And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, you can go back over there. It's and she was reading the book. I was like, oh, tell me about the book. Talking to her for 4 hours. Like, opportunity is everywhere. We just need to start a dialogue. Yeah? Those examples would be something of an indirect nature. Yeah? It was situational. But don't be afraid to just be bold enough to just say hi. Yeah? I've been doing this for over a decade. My favorite thing to say to someone that I want to meet is hello. Because here's the thing. It's not about having the magic thing to say to open a bit of dialogue. How you make impact with someone is your response to their response. Does that make sense? Yeah? And for the guys in the room, that means being a listener. Yeah? Like, we're bad at that. I think you've got two types of people. You've got people who are an active listener and people who passively listen. Yeah? And if you're in a passive listener zone, it's quite clear that you don't really care. You're not really interested in this person. You're just thinking about the end game. Yeah? You got to stimulate someone's mind, right? So, and with that as well, I would say that a lot of the time, conversation starts before you've even opened your mouth. Yeah? Not all the time, but a lot of the time the opportunity is there. What do I mean by that?
It's body language, your facial expressions, your unsaid attitude towards that person that you've not even physically opened your mouth to yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But what about these?
And those two.
Yeah. Eye contact.
Is that not body language?
It is, but I wanted you to zone in on that bit.
Sorry.
So the eye contact's important, right? How many of you have walked down the street and exchanged eye contact with someone? Right?
Every day.
Right. And what's going through your mind when you see this attractive person or this person that you're curious to and something doesn't happen? What's your internal response?
When you say something doesn't happen, what do you mean?
I mean, when you walk down the street, you exchange eye contact with someone, right? There's something going on here, right? But again, you walk past and you go, I didn't do it again. I didn't do it again. Yeah? It's frustration, right? Ladies, what's your experience in that dynamic?
It's always frustration.
What is it?
Sometimes it can just be like a nice eye contact. And be like, oh,
Okay.
this is nice.
Appreciate
Okay.
Always have to be frustration.
Okay. But would you?
That connection.
But would you welcome like someone saying hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay. And I think that's a really positive thing to hear.
Yeah.
You know, because I think especially in this climate right now, where we're dealing with the whole Me Too movement as well, which I think is a great movement for awareness, but I think it's confusing a lot of people in terms of what is socially acceptable. So I think we do need to step up and go, actually, you know what, done right is a lovely experience.
Are we not part of the swipe culture now?
We are, but that is a whole different talk. That really is.
I think we are, but I think there's a lot of people that are more conscious trying not to be as well.
It starts there. I'm very, in my relationship at the moment, I'm very challenging that, because the old me would have been like, okay, swipe, another one. You know, like, but it's about dealing with, it's about weathering the storm in your relationships, as opposed to thinking, oh, we're having an argument, okay, fuck it. Yeah?
17 years in, so
Oh, right, there you go. Right. Okay. Right, so street scenario, right? Let's just say hello. Let's just say hello, right? But then think about what you're going to say in response to that hello. Why have you said hello? Because you like them, right? Have you said that yet? Why are we making it complicated, right? We're overcomplicating the dialogue. That we're letting all this opportunity just pass us, right? Someone give me another scenario.
How would you apply this to apps, though?
Apps.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good question. Depends on the platform, first of all. I think there's some really unique platforms. Give me a platform.
Hinge.
Hinge, I think, is a great one.
Sorry, what's Hinge?
yeah.
I don't know what Hinge is. Okay. It's a dating app, right? You have to answer a few questions about yourself before.
It's a great one. I
Get a
think
better idea.
I think it's a great one. I think it's one of the most popular ones at the moment. I just wrote a book actually on online dating. It's on my website. But with Hinge and like any app that gives you the ability to write a bio, I like to write something that hooks someone in, right? So my one might be something like, I'm really passionate about what I do. If you're like, just shorten it down. Curious, why not ask me what it is, right? Just something that helps someone out. It's difficult looking for, what can I say? What can I say? Just write something that hooks someone in like that. And I find that that's an absolute breakthrough. I mean, the images, every image needs to go through quality control. I mean, I think, and if you're not on dating apps, right, we're all in the online dating game because we're all online on social media. Well, I think a lot of us are anyway, as you would have probably heard about this event. You've really got to manage you're a brand. You're a brand, right? And like any person that's great at marketing, they know their target audience, right? Who is your target audience? What message and what values are you trying to communicate out there? I look at online dating as like a high street, right? You're walking down that high street and it's like window shopping. You look in a window and in that split second you're going, can I associate? And is this in line with my values? No. Can I associate? Is this? No. Like that, right? So you've really got to dress your windows up to target your audience. Does that make sense? So it's marketing, what it is, right? But Hinge is a good one. I think whenever there's a new dating app that comes out, get on it straight away. Get on it straight away, because otherwise what happens is they become saturated, right? Because then they start commercializing the platform, and the good people just leave, right? So try and get on a dating app ASAP when it comes out, and because what happens is they go through PR circles, right, of all the most sort of eligible people, right? And obviously that is subjective, but that's just my token bit of advice on that. Okay, I'm going to share a story of you as well. I just want to I would only share a story if I think it's relevant to what we're talking about. And I think, again, opportunity is everywhere, online and offline. I've really had in mind to get you guys to be mindful of how to meet people offline. So the story I want to share is when I met someone at the Louvre in Paris, and it was a remarkable experience. I was walking around this museum, And I saw this lady who caught my eye, and you know, I was like dressed up, decked out in this Englishman, gentleman bollocks, barber jacket and chinos and brown monks or whatever, and a messenger bag. And I saw this lady that looked like a Bond girl, right? And I was like, okay. What a setting, first of all. Like, I was like, right, I got it. So I got over and I just said, like, excuse me, you know where the Mona Lisa is? But as I said that, I wasn't really asking for the Mona Lisa. You know, I was just looking at him, just sort of smiling and in that sort of playful mode, right? And then the dialogue began. It was like, oh no, I don't. I said, well, perhaps we could find it together. So there we are. We're just gracefully walking around.
More fromage.
We were gracefully walking around, and then we had this moment of seeing the Mona Lisa, and it was, to be honest, I wasn't bothered about the Mona Lisa. I just thought, this is an amazing moment we're having right here. And then, I mean, it gets very seductive, extremely seductive. So like when I talked about hypnosis, you know, again, it's a body language thing as well. It's like every step was like a minute, you know, it was like that. You know, and that is a state. You know, when you're at the bar or any environment, even picking up the drink, you know, can be quite seductive. If you pick it up like this, you know, it just looks like you're looking for your buddy to do a line in the toilet, right? But everything is seduction, right? Just picking up that glass, holding eye contact with someone. Sorry, buddy, I'm looking at you again, but right? Something like that, yeah? So it was that sort of thing, walking around, and I said, look, I'll be honest with you, and I took a risk here, right? I took a risk, but I felt like it was the right time to, and because of the messages that I was experiencing from her. And I go, all I've been thinking about for the past 15 minutes is slowly unbuttoning your blouse and revealing your breasts and putting your nipples into my mouth, right? And I said it like that, right? And she looked at me, and I call this the laser beam test. When someone looks at you, they're thinking, are you being for fucking real? Like that. And I looked at her, and I was like, look, I'm prepared to run, right? So I looked at her, I was like, yeah, I just said that. Yeah, like that, just holding it, but remember, what's attractive, coming from a place of certainty, right? So there was that moment, and she just had to go, right, okay, oh, that is his reality. Oh, that is what's going on. Okay, and she obviously felt comfortable with it, and I just go, and I felt that, and I was like, I can only suggest we grab a coffee. She goes, maybe, like that, and we began walking, right? And again, every step was just so seductive. It's like fucking hell, this is a moment we're having right now. And I go, let's sit down here, and we sat down in this like cove. And who's the erotic novelist, by the way? I want to write for you. This needs to be in your novel. Sat down, and I went further. I continued on. I started using erotic storytelling skills that if you want some of that, you should speak to this lady here, by the way, because that's what she does, which is amazing. And I started stimulating her mind in such a way where we were both creating this image in our head, and it was just absolute pornography, right? And, you know, I go, right, let's get that coffee. She was like, okay. So we walked, and if you've been to the Louvre, you'll know, like outside there's a cafe, right? And I'm with my friends, by the way. I've just ditched them. I've seen this lady, and I'm like, nah. I've just gone. And they've seen what's happened, and they've been following me. And then they sat down. I've ordered the tea. She smokes. I don't like smokers, but in this scene of the movie, she had to smoke. She had to smoke. She had that Russian broken English thing going on. She had her leather skirt and high boots and her blouse was open, her hair was up, and she was drinking her tea and I was drinking mine, just fitting into that whole English stereotype bullshit, right? And we were just loving the experience, right? And then I just thought, I was whispering in her ear what else I wanted to do when I get back home with her, this, that, and the other. And the next minute I go, come here, there's something I need to tell you. She goes, what? And I pull her in and we start making out, right? And that for me was something I will never forget in my life, right? And hopefully she won't either. But, well, I hope so. I mean, it was good. But for me, that's what it's about. It's about giving someone an experience. It's not something dark or evil or manipulative. It's something positive and beautiful. And the sad thing about this world is we're not doing enough of it, you know? I'm talking about things here that in our society tells us that we're supposed to know this stuff about one another, what our needs are and all this kind of stuff. If you have the ability to go over to someone and demonstrate you're coming from a place of certainty and give someone an experience to stimulate someone's mind and you're not doing it, you're being selfish, right? So really think about that. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you being rejected, right? That's nonsense. It's about you going over there to write the next chapter of your story. Ladies, I would like to know what sort of sticking points that you kind of have when it comes to attracting men, so I can just throw a few more tips out. You know, I don't want this, hopefully this hasn't felt, has this talk felt more male-central, female-central, or has it felt quite neutral? Neutral. Good, I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so I was asked, I'll share this, because we did another talk with KK, and a lady, it was actually about online dating, but then she asked me at the end a really interesting question. She goes, how do if I'm out with my girls after work for a drink, and I see a guy that I like with his group of friends, how do I speak to him? Which I thought, wow, I've never really thought about it being such a big deal to remove yourself from your friends to go and create a bit of dialogue with someone over there in a different group. I never really thought about that.
But is it about that though, or is it the fact that she's approaching an entire tribe?
It could be about that too, but I think her angle was more the friends thing, right? But you're right, it could be that for someone. You know, it could be quite overwhelming. So again, we're talking about eye contact, right? A lot of the conversation starts before we've opened our mouth. If you're in that situation, you see a guy you like in that group, you throw that eye contact over, and this might be an area that you need practice in, right? This might be an area that you're not currently quite comfortable with, right? That means you just got to get used to taking more risks. If you look at someone and they're not picking it up, so what? Just get used to it. I used to play chicken with people walking down the street, even guys, right? I've avoided a lot of smack in the mouth for doing this, but I was just practicing with myself at this time in my life. I was just walking around and I was just holding eye contact and just going, yeah, exactly, yeah. like that, right? It was just a game. It's just a playful game I'd do as I go to work. But what I was doing was just get myself used to having fun in the tension, yeah? Take this away. Nothing happens outside of tension. Nothing. Yeah? You've got to be comfortable experiencing tension. Seduction is a dance. Yeah? And it takes two. So start. Give it the eye contact, I said. Give it the eye contact. She goes, what do I do with the eye contact? I just go, all right, well, just look. She goes, what do you currently do? I go, I don't look. I go, well, how does he know you're interested then? He goes, well, I don't know. Is what I'm here asking you. I was all right, we'll just sort of hold the eye contact. She goes, what if he doesn't leave with his friends? I was like, well, that's a good point. Maybe he doesn't. Well, then maybe you just splinter away from the group. And this is where it just comes a bit ridiculous, right? Because we have to start playing games. Maybe you just go and pass him and go to the bathroom. Or maybe you splinter away from your friends and you put yourself at the bar after you give the eye contact. So you give the guy the opportunity to maybe come over and say hello. Or my favorite one, which an ex-colleague of mine used to do, was we'd be sitting down, having food, and then we'd all get up, we'd all leave, and then she'd always go back in to the restaurant pretending she'd left her phone in there. She'd not left her phone in there. She's been having eye contact with someone throughout the whole duration of the meal, and she's given the guy another opportunity perhaps to come over and say hello, because now she's on her own. Yeah? I call that one the damsel in distress. Can be applied at the gym, by the way, as well. It's a great one. I remember there was a very attractive lady at the gym, and me and my friend just, was that over at, what's the one over there? Literally just on this street. Gym box. I was doing a gym box. And me and my friend both noticed this lady. I was like, yeah, she looks fun. She looks fun. So he's like, yeah, anyway. So we've noticed her one place, then we've come over to another part of the gym, we're working out there, and then we look over, and the next minute she's right there. I'm like, buddy, that's not a coincidence, right? And we look over again, and she goes, oh, help. I was like, and then we're like this, oh, no, I'm helping. You know, so again, damsel in distress works very well in any sort of occasions. So,
Sounds a bit patriarchal though.
sorry?
Sounds a bit patriarchal.
Right, yeah, well, you have to kind of feel it outright. Smoking area as well is always a great one. Yeah, in whenever you go out into any sort of nightlife environment and you don't feel, whose excuse as to why they're not talking to people is because the music's too loud? What a load of bullshit. I mean, if you can order a drink, was it too loud for you to order the drink? It's a challenge, but I have to get you up again because we have to, come on, get up again, sorry. I'm only asking you to come up again because he actually posed the same question to me earlier on. He goes, well, I go out, but it's too loud and I don't like those environments. And I go, okay, but...
We're going to do the same
yeah, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the same thing. I go, but if the music's too loud, what does that mean you've got to do? And he's like, choose somewhere else. I go, no. Just means you've got to talk a bit in here, isn't it? Yeah? And that becomes a bit more intimate. So actually, a noisy environment is your friend because it actually encourages intimacy. Yeah? And if you really can't stand it, remember, the smoking area is always probably the most social place that you're going to spark a conversation with, right? Thank you. Cheers.
I was going to add, you asked some chats with guys. I think, like in my group of friends, there's some people that are in long-term relationships and some people that are single.
Yeah.
And it's often the ones in relationships aren't afraid of rejection, so they'll go chat to
That's right.
the guy. And the more shy girl on the edge, the guy should actually go talk to because she's the single one.
Yeah.
They often don't get as much attention because they're more nervous.
I'm really glad you said that. And I'm glad you said that because I believe in every group, there's always that person that likes the sound of their own voice, right? And for a guy or a lady, but we see this behavior more from guys, I guess, is that when you go over to a group of women, for a lot, that can be quite an intimidating move, right? But the guy's gone over, he's had the courage to do it, and the first thing he hears is the lady that likes the sound of her own voice, right? But then the guy digests that as the group spokesperson, right? That's not the group spokesperson. That's just the girl that likes the sound of her own voice, right? There might be, as you said, the friend on the side that really finds you attractive, but she doesn't have that voice. And she's actually pissed off with that friend that likes the sound of her own voice. That when you say, all right, look, we'll get to you in a minute. I just want to come and say hello to everyone, yeah? The other girls are like, finally, a guy that shut her down, right? Would that work for you, you said, for your friends?
Yeah, I think I'm the loud one.
Oh, you're the... Right, okay. Can you, one sec, you'll get your turn in a minute, yeah? Excellent. But do you see, like, guys really need to hear that, yeah? Because they genuinely think that, oh, that's how they all think. When it might just be, it might even be like that girl in the group is just having a bad day and she doesn't want this chump to come over and chat to them, right? Or they just don't want you to come over and chat to them. There is that as well, right? You just got to read it a bit better. All right? Any questions on anything I've said?
The girl, she has a loud voice,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore she can speak in that environment. Like for said, like to approach, but in the clubs when there's really loud music, like it's just really physically hard to speak.
Yeah, but as your friend at the front here said, that sometimes a lot of conversation isn't about speaking. In actual fact, in those environments, there's a lot of non-verbal things happening. Yeah, there's a lot of other elements that are happening as well, like social status and all that kind of nonsense. But there's other ways of communicating that you like someone. Yeah, but start with the eyes. Start with the eyes. H, where is he? Hey, right at the back there. So he's one of my great, fantastic instructors on the team that spent over a decade working in hospitality. So he's a very, very sociable guy that when he walks into somewhere, it seems like everyone knows him, right? And I go, listen, how do you know everyone? I don't know anyone, bro. Like, doesn't know anyone, but it's just the energy he gives off and the recognition he gives. He's like, he's in there and he's like, yeah, nodding people like that, yeah, eye contact. And if he's got a drink, he'll cheers someone like this. He's just exercising that social muscle, right? You think about the bigger picture, everyone's seen you behave like that. It's leaving everyone that isn't in on it curious about you. So their barrier comes down and they're intrigued. Yeah, but that's a whole different thing. But there's a bigger picture to think about, yeah?
That's a good example. It works for me.
Yeah, yeah.
As a girl, I think the issue
Yes.
is, the problem is what you're sort of saying for all these guys to do, and your sort of routine in the Louvre or whatever, you know, it's all very nice, all the dirty talk, but that's kind of the guy you want to avoid, right? That would kind of be the guy that you maybe would sleep with on one night, but he's not a guy long term. If he's coming up to one person and doing that, he's probably doing it to 100 other.
All depends what you want him for.
Well, yeah, but so what, you're saying you go for the shy guy, how are you picking out the shy one? Because the one that you're probably going to find attractive or fancy is probably not the one that you actually want.
It's being more aware of that, though, isn't it? First of all, it's like there's definitely people that through life we want to have an experience with. I think we go through two stages in our life, right? We go through life and we're looking for the excitement, right? Like someone you just want to shag at the Louvre, right? And then there's the guy that that's got the long-term prospects. But don't take yourself out of the equation of having that bit of excitement. We all want that long-term thing. We're all in here because we want a life partner. And remember, it's your choice. You choose to go back with that guy that gave you that cheesy line or made you feel in a certain way. It just depends where you are in your life at the time. It's completely subjective. And I think all for you. I think, and that's what I like about the KK brand. I think KK is amazing for empowering females, empowering female individuals for feeling more liberated in this area of their life. I think Emma's done a fantastic job with that. Yeah.
Maybe he is the guy you really want. He just came on all these courses.
There is that. All right, guys. But look, if I could end it on one note, I would say just treat every day as a chapter in your book, right? Really do live like you are the star in your movie, right? And as ridiculous as the situation may be, just think, it's the movie, right? All right, guys, thank you for listening and having me, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.